What's up, soldiers? Your boy Chris here, CaribbeanPod.com vibes, ended up in the kitchen as usual. I shared the sort of classic or original way of doing stew beef many moons ago, but I was thinking today, how come I never did the version with the coconut milk? So we're doing a coconut milk stewed beef. You're gonna like this one. Flavors for days. Trust me. Vibes it up, man. Got here about 3.5, 4 pounds, well, closer to 4 pounds of stewing beef cut into 1.5-inch pieces or so. It's been washed with water and lemon juice, drained dry. I'm gonna go in with salt, a little Worcestershire. And this is typically sort of season you would have seen me used in other stew. So like the stew chicken, the stew beef, the stewed pork. That is some Caribbean green seasoning I have in the fridge. I'll have a link for that down in the description of the video. That's just a homemade blend of all the different spice herbs that we like using down in the Caribbean. A little bit of ketchup. And the whole idea here is to season this and marinate it for a couple hours or overnight. I'm going in with some habanero pepper here. You can use a bit of any sort of spicy pepper you like, or you can leave it out. I'm not using any of the seeds or the white membrane down there because, as we've discussed before, that's where most of that heat is going to be. I'm going to grate in some ginger. And that habanero pepper is straight from my garden, and I can really smell that nice kick that I want in this. Some freshly grated ginger. If you have tomatoes and you want to add a tomato in here, you can chop it up and do it. I am fresh out of tomatoes today, and I'm going to cut up this one onion, put it in there, mix it up, and allow it to marinate. I've got my heavy iron dutchy pot here on a high heat, and I went in with a tablespoon of vegetable oil. Some people may argue that you don't need the vegetable oil to get the sort of caramelized base that we're looking for, but the beef that I'm using is very lean, so this is why I opted for the vegetable oil in there. High heat, and we want to pay close attention to the sugar here. It's going to go frothy, it's going to start melting, it's going to go frothy, and it's going to go amber color. When it goes that amber color, that's when we're going to introduce the seasoned marinated beef into the pot and start mixing it up to pick up all that lovely color and to get that rich stew flavor we like in the Caribbean. Couple key things I must mention. One, you need to have the stew beef very near, because when this goes, it really got to go. When the sugar is ready, you really got to go in there. And a dry, long handle spoon. This handle is short, but if it's your first time making this, I would recommend using a longer handle spoon. This way, it helps protect your hands from getting burned. With once you add the beef in there, it can't jump back at you. Keep moving it around a little bit, because we want that sugar to start bubbling and go frothy and amber color. Notice how it start going frothy there? That's exactly what we're looking for. I do hope you can see it through the smoke here, but it is that amber color that I'm looking for now. So it did take about 3 or 4 minutes. So here's where we start adding all the seasonings. And you really want to start stirring it so that start picking up all that sort of caramelized sugar on the bottom there. As you see, it comes up to a sort of a boil in the pot there, which is probably on high heat. It would only be about 4 or 5 minutes. What you want to do, turn the heat down to medium, put the lid on there, and let that go for about 10 minutes or so. With the pot being covered, you will notice it will spring up a lot of its own juices. You want to keep stirring it because you want every piece of beef to get into contact with that liquid and start taking on the color and flavor that we're looking for. Lid back on. And continue going in total about 10 minutes. It's now time to crank up the heat to high. We want to burn off all that liquid and do two things in doing so. We're going to infuse the pieces of beef with that lovely stew flavor. And secondly, we're going to give it that rich golden color good stew beef is supposed to have. So crank up the heat, lid off, and burn off all that liquid now. So most of my water, the liquid on the bottom is already burnt off. The whole idea here is to get it back to the sort of oil that we started off with. And you'll notice the color is really intensified and that sort of stew flavor and scent that I'm looking for with a slight something from ginger. It's already there. We just want that to go down a little bit more because I don't want to see any of that liquid whatsoever. I'm seeing the oil on the bottom now, so here's where I'm going to go in with a couple of ingredients. Now, it could be three. The third one being some seasoning peppers or pimento peppers as we call it down in the Southern Caribbean. That would be ideal in here. And though we added that Caribbean green seasoning, I still like adding a little bit more of this herbal note with that fresh thyme and scallions. Then all we need to do is give that a stir. Heat still on high. I have here 1.5 cups of water in the same bowl that I marinated the beef in, so we pick up all the leftover marinade. And since this is a coconut stew beef, we're going in with 1 can of coconut milk. So that's about 1.5 cups of coconut milk as well. We want to bring that up to a boil. So give it a good stir. Bring that up to a boil, and then we're going to allow it to gently simmer until the pieces of beef are nice and tender. We've got that bubbling happening now on that high heat. Quick stir. Make sure all the pieces are under that liquid because we want that to braise nice and slowly. Heat down to low. Lid on. And let that do its thing, you know. It's been going for about 1 hour and 10 minutes since I added the water and the coconut milk. I've got a nice thick gravy. I stir it every 20 minutes or so. Got a nice thick gravy going on here. Kitchen is smelling delightful. Taste it for salt, adjust it accordingly. Just want to turn my heat up because I need that gravy for the rice that I'm going to be serving with. A little bit of scallions just to brighten it up at the end here. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. We did a coconut stew beef. Do give it a try. Remember to hit that thumbs up and check out CaribbeanPot.com for the printable recipe very shortly.